Hello, nieces and nieces. How are you today? Welcome back to the channel. I want to thank you guys for coming back to the channel. I'm SavingsFashionista, and over here we do mainly things fragrance, whether it's body or home. And today we're here to talk fragrances. And the fragrance content that we will be talking about today are fragrances that I don't know if I still like them. So if you're interested in hearing about the things that will possibly be leaving or never re-entering my fragrance collection, please stay tuned. Okay, so we're going to get started with the fragrance that I have had in my collection a very long time. A large percentage of this fragrance has evaporated. I got this fragrance when it was first released, and I want to say that this fragrance came out like 2010, 2011, somewhere along those lines. But I remember when I got it, and I've had it a very long time. This fragrance has actually moved with me. I've moved this fragrance from one home to another home. That's how long I've had it. But this is Highline from Bun Number 9. This is definitely a fragrance that is presented to you on the packaging, meaning that this is grass and some flowers, and that's what this fragrance is. It is an overly green fragrance. It has a little uniqueness to it, but after wearing it a couple years, I just did not like it anymore. So this is Highline. I don't think that I would probably ever put this back into my collection. I just don't think that I would, because it's just a little too green for me. It wasn't a love for me. It wasn't a love for me when I first got it, but it was something different to the collection, added to the collection, but I don't think that I would ever replenish it. So again, this is Highline from Bun Number 9. Now the next fragrance, I really got off into the Mancera because they were, a thing a few years ago, and this is fragrance number 2, I think, that I got from Mancera. 2 or 3, I can't quite remember, but I've already decluttered like 3 of my Mancera fragrances. But this is Velvet Vanilla. Now the name for this is very deceiving. This is not a vanilla forward fragrance, and I kind of like had an idea of that before I purchased it. This was a blind buy, but looking at other content creators content, and they just said that this was an extremely tuberose fragrance. And when I get tuberose, especially a sweet tuberose, it makes me think of bubblegum. And one of the content creators, she actually even said that. But I think I just applied too much one day and I kind of fell out with it. But I'm going to allow it to stay in the collection a little bit longer and see if I can do something different with how I apply it, and maybe even layer it to see if I can refresh the liking for it, or if I will declutter it at some point. So again, this is Velvet Vanilla. We're going to keep her for a little while. All right, this next fragrance, I fell in love with the candle of this fragrance, and I thought that I would like the fragrance. I was really excited when they said that they were going to be coming out with it, and I got even more excited when I went to Sephora and they could never keep it in. So during one of the VIB sales, I went ahead and ordered it, and it just does not wear well on my skin, you guys. And I think I've worn this one time, but this is Cashmere Kush by Boy Smells, and this is a cannabis musky type of fragrance. When I smell it, I think of cannabis. It smells like for real cannabis. So I would be very selective with where I wore this to, because it's just very herbal, to say the least. But I didn't like it when I wore it. I'm going to try to wear it again. I don't know what it is about it that's off-putting. Now, smelling it from the cap, I like it. I enjoy it. But smelling it, and I've cracked this bottle. This is so heavy. I've dropped this and I cracked it. I can see the cracks in it. I don't really care for it. So I'm going to let it hang around a little bit longer before I finally put a pin in it and declutter it. The next fragrance, I'm just going to tell you off top, I'm not going to declutter this because I love the fragrance, but it gives me a headache. And I think the last time that I wore, I just applied too much. And it doesn't take that much for this fragrance because it is that girl. This is Merr Tonka by Joe Malone. This is a lavender musky type of fragrance. It is definitely for cold weather. And it's a beautiful fragrance. I think that I just need to apply it, you know, less than I have or I normally do because I am an oversprayer. But I'm going to hold on to Merr Tonka before I make a decision to declutter, which I probably want because I love the fragrance. It was just too overpowering for me the way that I applied it. So again, this is Merr Tonka by Jo Malone. Now this next fragrance, this is from the house of Givenchy. And I initially wanted to get the Rouge because I heard Santa Maria, she really used to love the Rouge. And she would talk about what a great date night fragrance it was. And it was more befitting for cooler weather. But by the time I got ready to purchase something from the line, it was about to be summertime. So I said, I'll just purchase this one because I heard a lot of good things about this one too. And this is supposed to be the better version, this EDP version. So this is Litra D EDP. It's a beautiful fragrance. I'm going to keep this in my collection because this fragrance reminds me of my favorite aunt and she has transitioned. And it's just a beautiful fragrance. It puts me in the mind of her. It smells like her. My aunt loved the fragrance. It was called Beautiful. And this kind of puts me in the mind of that fragrance DNA. So I won't be decluttering this because it just evokes some really good memories. I was her favorite and she was mine. But I love my aunt so much. So I won't be decluttering this because it reminds me so much of her. So again, this is Litra D Givenchy EDP. Now this next fragrance, this was just supposed to be like a pacifier for another fragrance from this particular fragrance house that they discontinued, and I was not happy about it, but it's not the same, you guys. When I first got this fragrance, I was like, okay, yeah, it's soothing, it's satisfying for one of my favorites, but the more I wore it, I'm like, it's not the same. But the fragrance that I'm speaking about, this is Pure Musk by Narciso Rodriquez, and this is the For Her. Now, you know, Narciso is known for his musk. Hands down, I do think he does musk the best. Musk, this is a beautiful fragrance. And the fragrance that I was trying to replace was this. This is the Essence. And they don't make this anymore. This is so old and dusty. I kept it just that long. This is one of those fragrances that, and I don't even smell anything anymore, that my essay, my bond essay encouraged me to purchase. And I did, and I fell in love with it. But this right here, it's a nice substitute, but it's not the same. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to keep this because I don't reach for it anymore. I haven't worn this in about 2 years probably, but we'll see. I haven't decided. And normally with my fragrance decluttered, I've never sold anything. I just tend to like pass it on and give it to another lady that I could possibly put a smile on her face, because fragrance, it, you know, it does that thing for us. It makes us happy, some of us. All right, so the next fragrance is also from the house of Mancera. This was my very first Mancera that I ever purchased, and this is Instant Crush. Now, the reason I purchased this because I heard someone say, Lord, I don't remember. If you were the one who said it, charge it to my head. But they said that this fragrance it put them in the mind of Baccarat Rouge. And at that time, I was so in love with Baccarat Rouge. Almost done with my first bottle, thinking about purchasing the second bottle. But Instant Crush is good. It's a good one. And it does give you that Baccarat DNA. It really does. And it smells nice. It really does smell nice. But I haven't worn it in such a long time. So I'm trying to decide, do I want to keep it? It is not by any means, in my opinion, a dupe for Baccarat, because I'm sure I would have used it more than I use it. But I think I want to keep it because it just has a place in my fragrance collection. So again, this is Instant Crush by Mancera. All right, the next fragrance, I talked about this fragrance on one of my most repurchased fragrance. If you have not checked out that video, you can click the card above and check that video out. But this is Yellow Diamond by Versace. Now, I'll probably think I'm gonna just go ahead and declutter this because this is extremely affordable and I could get it at any time. So I would rather declutter it before it goes bad. But this is probably my most complimented fragrance. And I've had quite a bit of bottles of this, and I've had at least 4 people to purchase this fragrance based off of how they like that it smelled on me. So I think we're going to go ahead and declutter this one so someone can get some good use out of it. So again, this is Yellow Diamond by Versace. Now this next fragrance is a fragrance that it had its little fan base at one time, and it does have quite a few flankers, and it's a cute fragrance, but I have not worn it in such a long time. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to declutter this. And this is Twily by Hermes. So as you can see, I've used, a nice little amount. Not too big of a dent. But this reminds me of that Litra D. It's something in here that just makes me think about my aunt. And that's probably why I have held on to it so long. But it's a beautiful fragrance. This is definitely one of those signature scent type of fragrances that you can wear, during all seasons at any time. And it's just a nice fragrance to have in your collection. So I have not finalized whether or not I'm going to declutter this, but I'm not really sure if I still like it as far as me wearing it and the performance of it. I do like the nostalgia part of it that reminds me of someone that I love so much. I do like that part about it, but since I have the Litra D and it reminds me more of her, I may just go ahead and declutter this one. So I'm gonna think about it a little bit longer and we'll see. All right. So to sum it up, the only one that I know for sure will never re-enter my collection is Highline. And the only one that I know for sure that I am going to declutter is the Yellow Diamond by Versace. So you guys, those were my thoughts on whether I still like this or how I'm going to preserve this in my fragrance collection or if I'm going to declutter it. So I thank you so very much. If you have any fragrances that you want to share with me that you once loved so much and things just changed and you don't care for them anymore, leave those fragrances in the comments below. And if you have some thoughts on any of the fragrances that I've shared, you can leave those comments below and questions as well. So I want to thank you guys again for coming back to the channel, and do not forget, you, yes, you are great. Bye-bye.